Ghislaine Maxwell's defense presented new arguments before a Manhattan federal court to prevent nearly 90,000 pages related to the investigation of financier Jeffrey Epstein from being made public. The documents are part of a civil defamation lawsuit filed a decade ago by Virginia Giuffre, who is now deceased. The information was disclosed through court documents filed on Friday, February 20th, before a federal court in New York, and reports replicated by national media such as El Heraldo de Mexico. The United States Department of Justice recently requested that confidentiality requirements for those files be removed. Maxwell's lawyers are attempting to block the release of approximately 90,000 pages that include transcripts of more than 30 depositions, financial and sexual data considered private. Records of the exchange of evidence in the civil litigation between Giuffre and Maxwell. Part of these records have already been published by order of a federal appeals court. However, the new petition seeks to halt the total disclosure of the remaining files. The defense maintains that the Department of Justice obtained those documents improperly during the criminal investigation against Maxwell, and that they were originally protected by confidentiality orders. In December, Congress passed a law requiring the disclosure of millions of documents related to the Epstein investigation, known as the Epstein Records Transparency Act. Lawyers Laura Menninger and Jeffrey Pagliuca argued before the court that this rule violates the separation of powers established in the United States Constitution. By law, Congress cannot strip this court of its authority nor release it from the responsibility to protect its records against misuse. To do so violates the separation of powers, they wrote. They added that neither Congress nor the executive branch can interfere with the judicial branch, which has the power to definitively resolve cases and controversies. Under the separation of powers of the Constitution, neither Congress nor the executive branch can intrude upon the judicial power. That power includes the authority to definitively and finally resolve cases and controversies, they added. In practical terms, the defense seeks for the judge to maintain the confidentiality of the files, even when a law exists that orders their publication. In recent weeks, the disclosure of documents derived from criminal investigations against Epstein began. These publications have provided more information about, say, AL abuses committed over decades. However, the process has drawn criticism. Some victims reported that their names and personal information remained visible. In contrast, certain names of alleged abusers appeared redacted. Lawmakers pointed out that only about half of the existing material has been published. Department of Justice officials have responded that everything possible has been disclosed, except for documents requiring judicial authorization. Current legal situation of Ghislaine Maxwell: she was found guilty in December 2021 on related charges. In the middle of last year, Maxwell was transferred from a federal prison in Florida to a low-security prison camp in Texas. After holding interviews with Associate Attorney General Todd Blanche, 2 weeks ago, Maxwell refused to answer questions from the House Oversight and Reform Committee in a deposition. Via video call from prison, through her lawyer, she stated she was willing to speak fully and honestly if she were granted a pardon. The federal court must decide whether to maintain the confidentiality of the documents or allow their disclosure in accordance with the law passed by Congress. The resolution will have implications on several fronts. The public's right to know information linked to one of the most relevant, say, trafficking cases of recent decades. The protection of personal data of victims and third parties. The court's final decision will be key to understanding whether transparency prevails or if confidentiality is maintained for part of the files linked to the Epstein case. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video.